So, welcome everybody. What you're seeing is a video of my dad, and I'd like to share with you a story how music healed my dad the months before he died. My pop died in 2013, and it was 6 months shy of his 95th birthday, one day before Valentine's Day. And the last 2 years of my dad's life, we started seeing some significant changes. First, he forgot how to talk, and then he forgot how to walk. And I was trying to communicate with him on a phone, but every time I would talk to him, gibberish would come out. So I felt he understood me, but he just couldn't respond. So I did the only thing I could think of. I started singing a song to him. So I'm on the phone, and I start singing, "Hello, Daddy." And at first, nothing, just silence. And then I sang again, "Hello, Daddy." And shortly after, I hear in a very faint voice, "Hello, Jaimie." Well, I was buzzing all over because we had my dad who could not talk, and he couldn't even walk. And you can see here, he started dancing. So music stepped in when medical science failed. He was able to sing, and he was able to dance, and that was a very profound experience for us. And I would say that most good music retailers are engaging in conversations with the people that walk into their business on the level of, what does music mean to you? I would say that the best retailers, and I'm going to be spotting 10 retailers right after this, are having those types of conversations. You are igniting everyone's passion for music. It's our highest calling. Are any of you familiar with this book, What Music Means to Me, by the way? Okay, good. One person. Richard Ruggiero wrote this book. I think everybody should read it. If you want to really get connected to why we're doing what we're doing, these are beautiful stories from children to seniors talking about the profound change that music has made in their lives. And I would say that if a retailer is having those types of conversations, you're going to engender trust really quick. And who doesn't want to share a favorite music story? If I bumped into any one of you and I asked, what does music mean to you, you'd have no trouble telling me, right? I mean, these are very profound stories. And the brick and mortar store has a unique advantage because you can go out and be right in front of that person, and you can engage in that person. Now, for an employee to do this, would we all agree that that would take a certain amount of talent? You have to be comfortable in your own skin to have these types of conversations, correct? Would you agree with that? There's value to that talent, but that talent, that value does not show up on your balance sheet. We call this an intangible asset. This is not a financial asset. But how important would it be for your employees to engage in these types of conversations with the people that walk in? Would that engender trust? Would that promote loyalty? Could you possibly have more profitable customers? I would think so. I mean, I went into a music store because I forgot my travel guitar and I was traveling, and I needed to rent the guitar. The only question the sales guy asked me was, do I want an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar? Well, he missed out on tremendous opportunities because I was in the market for a lot more instruments. You see what I'm saying? So what we want to do is we want to promote our intangible assets. Now, just like in a tree, where the roots are responsible for the entire life of the tree, but we don't see the tree. The roots are below the surface. We see the canopy, we see the leaves. Intangible assets, which represent 80% people, 20% enabling technology, is the multiple that drives your business. It's the key driver that drives the value of your business. Intangibles by itself have absolutely no value. To the extent that they can execute your strategy driven by your vision, there's tremendous value. And I'll give you one. I don't like a lot of statistics and numbers in my talks, but there's one number and statistic I like to give you. In 1975, the value that was contributed to the largest companies of America was 17% intangible assets. 17% intangible assets in 1975. By 2015, that number grew to 87%. So what am I saying? I'm saying that intangible assets are worth more than your inventory. I'm saying that intangible assets are worth more than your building. I'm saying that if you want to drive your business to a higher valuation, it will always be intangible assets. That's why you need to pay attention to this. And the best marketers, the best retailers in America are already doing that. Now, there are 4 intangibles. The first intangible has to do with who we are as a person, aspirations. There's a great quote, it's not my quote, money only matters if the things we do are worthy of our time, right? What drives the decisions that you make come from who you are as a person. If you're not taking care of yourself, if your well-being is not taking care of yourself, what do you have at the end of the day? I was speaking to one music retailer, and I asked him why he was selling his business, and he said, Jaimie, I'm exhausted. The passion is out. I have to get out. So what I'm suggesting to you, the first intangible is you. Why do you do what you do? Do you have proper work, play, balance? That's my prayer for my children. They're so busy with their work. My prayer for my children is work, play, balance. Also called wellness capital. When I talk about talent, I'm not talking about Johnny in the corner playing the guitar. I'm talking about Johnny able to engage in these types of conversations with their customers. These personal, profound conversations to try to ignite music passion in their life. That talent, again, is not on your balance sheet. And that's the problem. I mean, think about it this way. If it's not on your financial statement, if it's not on your balance sheet, if it's not on your P&L, you can't see it. If you can't see it, you can't measure it, right? And if you can't measure it, you can't grow it. So I'm saying that intangible assets contribute more to the value of your business than any other component, including your inventory, and you're not seeing it. Your accountant isn't giving that information to you. And I'll tell you one other thing. It's not that intangible assets are difficult to measure. It's just using a different metric. Since it's not a number, you're not going to see it as a number, but you understand your intangible assets through surveys, through questionnaires, through peer-to-peer reviews, through asking your wholesalers, how am I doing? What do you see? So these are qualitative components, right? The next one is relationships. Look, without your customer capital, those relationships, you don't have much of a business, right? Really, really important. And relationships also deal with the informal relationships music store owners have with their suppliers. You need to have really good relationships with your vendors to be able to do, just to get ideas, to check to see how you're doing, right? So aspirations is wellness capital. Talent is human capital. Relationships is customer capital. And the last one is process and data. Process and data is the collection of all of your intellectual capital, your intellectual property. If intangible assets are 80% people, 20% is process and data. It allows you to take an idea and not just do it once, but do it over and over again with less and less time. It's a key factor when you're trying to sell your business, by the way. So I'd like to introduce the masters of intangibles. Now, these folks, some of them I know personally, some of them I picked it up from their website. What's amazing is that how many brick and mortar stores are here? How many internet-only stores are here? So brick and mortar stores, you also have an internet presence, correct? Why aren't we promoting our intangible assets, what it feels like to walk into that business. The 10 that I'm going to highlight do just that. They're not leading with a product and a price. They're leading with what it feels like to do business, right? So the intangible assets is the experience, because why else do you have a brick and mortar? If it was just price, push it out, become a box pusher. But there's no future to that, right? So the first master of intangible is Chuck Surak. Chuck won the award, the Don Johnson Award today. And anyone see that? Right. So he's an amazing individual. I know Chuck since the 80s. We both fell in love with the Kurzweil K250 at a NAMM show. This was like a $20,000 instrument at the time. I was running a music school, and then I just fell in love with it. So I talked my wife into allowing me to retail it. It was the craziest thing I ever did in my life. That's why I'm presenting myself as a financial guy, not as a music guy. So Chuck was selling the hell out of them out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was selling some out of my shop in Manhattan. But the intangible I want to point out with Chuck, while I was strong in education, I was teaching Barry Manilow how to use the sequencer of the K250. And Chuck, or anyone that knows the K250, will tell you that was no easy task, that sequencer. He was re-engineering the instrument and creating sounds for Stevie Wonder, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, and you could see that that particular talent led, let's just go back, led Sweetwater to become the largest, or one of the largest MI retailers in the country. I'm told, I read in a couple of years he'll be approaching $1 billion in sales. He's got a diversified line of businesses, but I put this up because I know he's passionate about it, and so am I. He's opening up the Clyde, a performing arts center, in the spring of 2018 to hold 2,200 people. So you're speaking about an individual that has a diversified offering, and I asked Chuck the importance of a customer relationship management system. Let me ask you this: how many have an inventory management system to track your inventory? How many of you have a relationship management system to track your customers? Okay, good. One of Chuck's strongest assets is his CRM. And I asked Chuck, how important is the CRM? And I'm going to quote him. I'm just going to read it from my index card. Here's what Chuck says. A CRM is critical in every business I own. We track everything we can about the customer: the name, the address, their dreams, desires, likes, dislikes, wish list, spouse's name, kid's name. I would not have a business without a CRM, exclamation point. It would be like having a business without a front door, without a name or cash register. It is a requirement. Right? So those that don't have a customer relationship management system, I would say think about that. Because not having that, according to the most successful MI guys, say it's not acceptable not to have it. West Music, you know Ryan West and Robin Malenta, some of you, yes, right? So their story is a little similar to my story. The West Music is third generation. I believe they have, is it 6 stores in Indiana, something like that. But the founder of West Music, Pearl West, was battling Alzheimer's the last couple of years of his life. And the only thing that Pearl West responded to was music. And they were so excited about that, they decided to support their vision, which is to play now and play for life, by using their intangible assets to create a music therapy business. So they've got 14 licensed music therapists. Why am I sharing this with you? Because if you're just selling product and you're not thinking of different ways to diversify your income flow, you may be missing opportunities. This is the Idea Center, right? Grow your business. I'm sharing 10 unique ways that some of the 10 of the best retailers in the country are using their intangible assets. So, West Music Therapy. Now, Spice's music. Have you heard of Spice's music? How many of you have heard of Spice's music? They're only 6 years old. They already have won a top 100 dealer award. And what Spice's music does, their vision is not your average music store. So what do they have? What do they do? They're competing for the world's largest rock band. Take a look at that picture. There are 850 people in this rock band. China has about 950. So Tim Spicer is trying to break the record, right? And that's how he leverages his intangible assets, not your average music store. That's his vision. So he's using his ability to put these humongous events together. And I think China better be careful because I think Tim Spicer is going to come right up there. And now, Candyman Strings and Things. We've all seen Rand and Cindy on stage. Thanks for attending, Cindy. Cindy, you did an interview with Joe Lamont, and you were talking about culture. Now, Cindy's vision was to create a collaborative culture. Before they became owners, they were competing, the employees. So Cindy was able to create a collaborative culture, a place where people like to work. She went away just from pro audio and making it much more inclusive. And again, a vision, a collaborative culture. Candyman is using their intangibles to support that. I love this, Soldiers, Songs, and Voices. Once a month, they have 10 to 20 people come in, and they give free lessons. But Rand told me something very simple. He said, Jaimie, the more community outreach, the more we sell. So again, intangible assets to support the vision. Have you heard of Mike Risco music? Nobody? Well, okay, so you could check out this video. It'll be online, and I would urge you to look at the websites, honestly. But Mike Risco is located in New York State, my state, and his vision is to bring community together. So what does he do? He puts on parades. I mean, really, how crazy is that? He puts on a parade, 200 people jump in. This is a pet parade. But the whole idea is to engage your community, to show that you care, and to put a face behind the product, right? It's not leading with product. Speak to the heart. Don't speak to the product. Try to find their passion for music. In this case, they're getting all excited because they're passionate about pets. And I'm sure there's a short distance between talking about your pet and talking about your music. So that's Mike Risco music. Maxwell's House of Music. Did you see Mark Maxwell at NAMM in Nashville? Anybody? The guy is a natural rock star. He's an unbelievable connector. And he's created a business that supports bands that want to become famous. So he created this entire environment that lends itself to just you're going to rock out. He's got a stage like this, can seat 100 people. He has, you know how the guitarist sits on their bed and they're practicing hour after hour, right? So he puts a bed in one of the rooms. You know how you have the concept of a garage band? He's got a garage door. So he's got an unbelievable environment, and he uses his greatest asset of presenting, connecting, and coaching bands. Check out his website. Well, Ted Brown music has been around since the 30s. And we have Whitney, I wanted to get this name right. This is my teleprompter, by the way. We have Whitney Brown Grisafi, who is the CEO of Ted Brown Music. She did an interview with NAMM, and she was able to create something that's very difficult to create. Her vision is to have her employees feel like an owner. They call that an ownership culture. Very, very difficult to achieve, very valuable if you can do that. So she said she's at the point that she doesn't even have to think of an idea. All the ideas are coming to her. Got this great idea, and all she has to decide is which one is the best one to do for Ted Brown. This is a senior group playing musical instruments, and they call it, I think, the Horizon Group. Centenarians are the fastest growing segment of our population, so anything you can do to bring in seniors, I think, is a home run. And I'll give you one idea. Guys in their 60s and gals in their 60s, they don't want to hold a heavy guitar. Come up with a line, and I know they're out here, of lightweight guitars and market that. Just an idea that I think would hold. Amplifiers, light. So you say senior-friendly instruments, everyone's got a bad back, right? Anyway, I'm off topic, but that's one intangible that you can take a look at. Are there any specialty violin houses in the house? So does Plum sell violins? You're a violin maker also. You have to pay attention to these violin specialty shops. I spent a day with Ifshin Violin. They're in the San Francisco Bay Area. If an MI combo store can get 3 to 7% bottom line, they're happy. These violin shops are getting double digit. He can have a Stradivarius, Jay Ifshin can have a Stradivarius consigned to him and sell it, and he can sell a $100,000 bow because Pinkas Zuckerman is getting a divorce and he needed the cash. These guys know how to create cash. And it's not as sexy as a guitar. I'm a guitar player, right? But I'll tell you something. They were lined up when I was in that store. So his vision is to sell superior instruments from all different price ranges. Contemporary Music Center, my buddy who was just speaking, his vision is to look at the entire person. When somebody enters his business, he is concerned about who they are as a person, their leadership skills, their quality, their character. He gets very, very deep in trying to help. I say that's wellness capital for the individuals. Do you think he has a strong retention rate? If you're caring about your students so much, do you think he has a lot of missed lessons? No. So that is the culture that he created. 4410 is a club. I'm saying it's a club. It's an area that his students perform in, and he modeled it after the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. And he says people freak out when they go in there. It looks so good they want to have a drink, they want alcohol. But this was an environment that he created, and again, an intangible asset. So Music Villa. Familiar with Paul Decker's Music Villa? I'm glad. So this is all new to you. If you go on to Music Villa's website, they've got a tag that says webisodes. And I'm going to show you a short video of how they use humor and they spotlight one of their salespeople. And the salesperson's guy's name is Joe Slomo. I can't make this up. Just see if the video works. Okay, good.
So Joe's got gigs. Joe always has gigs.
Joe gigs 4 nights a week, sometimes more.
He tells customers all the time to come to shows.
In all fairness, he's asking them about their gig as well, but each person, it's like a half-hour conversation.
You're always getting a recap or a pre-cap. What the new set list is going to be, what last night's set list was.
He'll spend most of the day doing it.
Don't you want to meet this guy? Really? I think it's great. So that's Music Villa. He uses humor to spotlight his employees. So we're almost out of time. I know, but maybe you'll ask some questions. But what happens now? If you're wondering why one business is worth more than another business, look at their intangibles. You all have the same products, right? Look at their intangibles. Look at what they're doing. So let me give you just 3 pointers, and I don't have the bullets because I'm really not into bullets, but there's three pointers I'd like to give you if you'd like to actually act on this. The first thing is to inventory your intangible assets. For example, take a look at what the talent is in your staff and see if it's lining up to the vision that you have, and see if it's lining up to the strategies that you want to implement. If it's not, you got to change it. You know, for example, let's say you're long on human capital in some area, but you're short on structural capital because you do not have a CRM. You may want to shift some of your talent to start working on that, right? This is really important. So you want to inventory your intangibles. Now, for many business owners, when they sell their business, it is the most important financial transaction of their life, right? And Paul Simon said, 50 ways to leave a lover. Remember that song? There's only 3 ways to leave your company. You're either going to sell it to an insider who could be a family member or a manager or a group of employees, right? You're going to sell it to an outsider. Those of you that read MMR, I can do a shameless plug. I'm a columnist at MMR. In the January issue, you can pick it up right at their booth. I interviewed Steve Zapp, the president of Music and Arts. You've heard of him? Well, he is the biggest national acquirer of companies in America. So if you're in your 60s and you're totally burnt out, and you go to me and you're saying, man, I want out, and there's no time to do anything, there's no time to train your employees, I would say give Steve a call. Now, I asked Steve, what drives the multiple? What does it depend on, you saying 2 to 3 times free cash flow versus 5 to 6 times free cash flow? And you know what he told me? Can you guess? Let me hear. The intangibles. That's it. Because, you know, one thing I've heard at NAMM, and owners brag about this, and it drives me crazy, my business can't exist without me. I'm the man. That's it. And I'm saying, okay, you're the man. Nobody else knows anything. Let me ask you something. One day, do you want to sell your business? Yeah, I guess so. Well, what is that person buying if you haven't trained your team to do what you do? Oh, and by the way, when was the last time you took a vacation? Oh, and by the way, how's your work-life balance? Oh, and by the way, are you in good health? No, I've got cancer. So what I'm suggesting is it's the intangible assets that drive the multiple, and it readies the business to sell. Without the intangible assets, especially transfer of value, get it out of your head and inside your employees. What are you selling? Oh, I see I'm out of time, so let me just finish with this last screen. The way you fix intangibles is in 90-day sprints. Okay, that's what you want to start working on. You figure out what your vision is, and then you see if you could match the intangible, and if it's not there, these sprints have to be managed. They have to be project managed. So find somebody in your team to do it, you do it, or hire someone. Connect to your higher purpose, which is igniting the passion for music in the folks that come into your store. That's it. So I would say let's start a quiet revolution, and thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
So, Jaimie, will you